Welcome to Cultural Diversity. My name is Dr. Jessica Levito, and I'm going to put this tutorial together for my students in my online course to really walk you through the syllabus. I will also be putting together another video tutorial to help you navigate Blackboard and essentially walk you through where everything is. So when we start the class, there's little to no question of where you should be and what you should be doing. The syllabus and everything is provided. Again, this is just going to be, for my students that learn visually, a walkthrough of the syllabus. So my name is Dr. Jessica Levito. You can see that the contact information is provided on your syllabus. I prefer to be emailed. It's just easier for me to get back to you if you do email. I will get back to you within 24, at most 48 hours. I'm usually pretty quick with email, and if your question needs an immediate response, you'd be surprised that I usually respond within a few hours. But again, give me up to 24 hours before you send another email. And my personal cell phone number is provided, but please only use that in case of an emergency. So the course description, and this is, Lewis University sets this up, and cultural diversity and intergroup relations is based upon the Lewis University mission ideals, especially those of knowledge, association, and justice. This course will provide you with experiences of U.S. racial, ethnic, and religious groups, as well as an analysis of age, race, class, and gender inequality. Research on prejudice, discrimination, and reducing intergroup intolerance will be presented. Students will have an opportunity to develop an appreciation of your own social heritage, knowledge of contributions of groups in America's society, and skills to further improve intergroup understanding, cooperation, and communication. And I have a series of objectives for this course. One is to define the importance of culture, especially in shaping one's own personal identity and worldview. To recognize that the contributions of ethnic and racial minorities of Americans throughout history, to be able to differentiate between prejudice, racism, and ethnocentrism, as well as to evaluate the impact on power relations in broader American society. To be able to analyze power dynamics in American history, especially as they relate to immigration, colonization, and slavery. And lastly, to appreciate, through the study and reflection, the ways knowledge of multiculturalism can lead to intellectual, professional, and personal growth. Your required textbook is a special edition custom edition for Lewis University. Richard Schaefer's 2010 Racial and Ethnic Groups, again with faculty readings, custom edition for Lewis University. For those students that are having difficulty obtaining the selected readings, for some reason, if you were unable to locate the textbook before the first week, the custom readings will be available in PDF form for the first couple weeks, and we do cover the selected readings, the additional readings that make it a custom edition in the first couple of weeks. So if you need to have access to those resources, they will be available to you. But keep in mind that the textbook is required and it is available through Lewis University's bookstore. You're going to be expected to also watch videos online. These videos are going to require you to have an internet and a computer. Supplemental readings will be available, and if they are available, I will make them available through Blackboard electronically. Media may be at a minimal cost. I will do everything that I can to have free media available for your media blogs. In some cases, though, if students would like to watch a selected media, there may be a small rental fee through Amazon or iTunes, or if you have Netflix, or if you're looking for an excuse to have Netflix, there will be available media if you have Netflix or Hulu. Again, I try to give a number of options for the media each week so students who do not have the resources to buy extra media can also participate and complete these assignments. So I will do what I can to provide you free streaming media. However, there will be options that are at a minimal cost. It's important to understand that there's three main areas that you'll be assessed that go into the course requirements. The discussion boards and media blogs, essentially a participation component of the course, is 40% of the course. The quizzes, most generally, the quizzes will be related to your text readings, will be another 40%, and then a final paper, which is worth 20% of your overall grade. The discussion boards and media blogs. Well, for the discussion boards, you will be participating in weekly discussions, and you must follow the rubric. And I also create a video tutorial walking you through the weekly discussions, because the discussions in my class are different than discussions in other online courses. They're a little bit more formal. And with that formality comes a formula that I'm looking for. Specifically, the discussions need to be content rich and they need to be backed up. So I will repeatedly say, back up your claims. Again, I will create another video tutorial that walks you through the media or the discussion boards with more clarity. So much of the learning you'll do in this course will occur through these online interactions between you and your peers. Asynchronous discussions will enhance our learning. You'll share ideas, perspectives, and experiences as they relate to the course material. You will develop and refine your thoughts through the writing process. And again, you will do this by broadening your understanding and your classmates' understanding of course content. Deadline for initial discussion posts will be every week, Wednesday night before 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. The replies for responses are due before Sunday night at 10 p.m. And this will be a formula that hopefully you'll take onto the rhythm really quickly. And once you get the rhythm, the class really has a set rhythm throughout. The discussion boards are due Wednesday night, the media blogs are due Thursday night, and then all response posts by Sunday and the quizzes by Sunday night. And I'll touch back on that. So the weekly blogs must follow the rubric again and relate to the course readings. Your blog is going to integrate concepts, readings, and reflection into a summary of the media that you select for the week. Most of the time there will be options. Sometimes there will only be one option. But again, I try to give multiple options for these medias, the media blogs, so you can select what interests you the most and what is easily accessible to you. You'll be required to respond to at least one of your peers' blogs. For the discussion boards, you'll be responding to 3 to 4 of your peers' initial posts. And again, I will create a video tutorial that really highlights what's important about those discussion boards and media blogs. Media blogs are due on Thursday night, and this is important so it gives students a chance to respond to other media blogs before the week comes to a close Sunday evening. You'll have weekly quizzes related to the content of the chapters. These will be pulled from a test bank. You will have 2 attempts at these quizzes. There'll be 20 to 30 questions each. You have approximately 2 minutes per question. So most weeks we cover 2 chapters. You'll have 20 questions and then 40 minutes to complete the quiz. The 2 attempts gives you an opportunity to hopefully get used to the structure. And if you for whatever reason, do poorly on one or the first attempt, you'll have the second attempt to redeem yourself and to, reevaluate your knowledge of the material and then re-engage and attempt the second attempt. Again, all attempts and the course, the topics for the week come to a close on Sunday evenings at 10 p.m. You'll be writing a final paper, and again, I'll throw together a video tutorial related to the final paper. For now, the assignment is detailed in the course content tips folder. The grade scale, what's most important to understand with the grade scale is I do grade on a plus-minus system and that the overall grades are weighted. So, the discussion and media blogs are weighted 40% of your grade, quizzes 40% of your grade, and the final paper weighted 20% of your grade. And we are on a plus-minus system. So again, I encourage you to review the syllabus, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me related to the grading scale. I'm not going to read this. This is the cheating and plagiarism policy. So the second half of the cultural diversity, introduction to cultural diversity, essentially syllabus recording, is going to talk about materials and technology, along with some course ground rules, accommodations, materials and technology necessary, and some tips. So materials and technology, it's important that you have a wired high-speed internet connection. While dial-up is okay, it's not recommended. A personal computer purchased within the last few years, of course the textbook, Windows XP or Mac operating system 10.4 or later, a compatible internet browser. It's important that if you are having any issue with Blackboard, that generally the first problem is with the internet browser. Students must also be familiar and competent with Blackboard, computers, various software programs, and internet connections. While I can help you navigate Blackboard, a little, my job is to really give you the sociology and the content of cultural diversity, not to be your tech support. So it's important that you have some level of competency to Blackboard before you begin. Also, a functioning email account. Make sure that email account is your Lewis account. If it's not your Lewis account, that you do go into Blackboard and set your preferences. The primary form of communication from me to you will be through Blackboard, and that Blackboard system will utilize your Lewis University email. If you do have a documented disability, and it must be documented through the university, that requires accommodations, it's your job to let me know, and to let me know as soon as possible so accommodations, if necessary, can be granted. So this part of the tutorial is important, and it's a little different than a lot of courses as far as spending so much time going over some ground rules. And in this class, we are discussing theoretical ideas and practical information about different groups, and because of that, some of this could be controversial and sensitive. And because of this, I err on the side of caution, and I go into every course that I teach with these ground rules. And these ground rules are really essentially to give you and I and your classmates some standards to which we're going to interact. And first, we must acknowledge that prejudice and discrimination based on race, class, sex, sexual orientation, and other physical differences exists. We must acknowledge that all of us have learned misinformation about other social groups and about members of other groups, whether we belong to the majority or the minority. We must agree not to blame ourselves or others for the misinformation that we have learned in the past, but then accept responsibility for not perpetuating that misinformation into the future. We must assume that people, both those we study and those in the class, are doing the best that they can. It's important to never demean, devalue, or any way put down people for their experiences, backgrounds, or statements. And this is really important in an online class, because in an online class, sometimes things can be taken out of context because we don't have that interpersonal, face-to-face, all the nonverbal components of interaction are absent. We just have our words. So this does not mean that we cannot disagree, and I encourage you to disagree. It's just that we do so respectfully. And due to the nature of this course, we will be reading and discussing a range of social issues. Difficult films may be shown, and actually difficult films will be shown. Our goal is to examine these issues in a manner that considers and incorporates a wide variety of viewpoints. And so I encourage you to remain open-minded and to know that a lot of the material that we cover is sensitive and could potentially cause some emotional distress. It's how we move forward and accept responsibility for things and essentially correct that misinformation. We have a social responsibility after completing a course like this to not perpetuate misinformation into the future. Cultural diversity is housed in the sociology department, but however, we take a very interdisciplinary approach, combining information from social and behavioral sciences as well as the humanities. We will be, the course format is listed here, and this is also included in the syllabus. The history of minority experiences will be addressed of certain groups. Current status of groups in the American society, including relevant social policies, will be discussed. Contributions and positive accomplishments of groups, strategies for reducing intolerance, improving intergroup relationships and communication, as well as comparative perspectives on global diversity. Some tips to ensure that you're being successful in our course. I strongly suggest that you do not take quizzes using a wireless connection. Wireless connections are often unreliable. I do suggest that you are, have a physical wire, get an Ethernet connection, and plug in when you're taking quizzes. Students should not procrastinate on their assignments, or you will fall behind in any type of an accelerated format. And we are in an 8-week accelerated format here. There is really no opportunity to fall behind. There is no opportunity for make-up assignments. Think of the due date as the last possible date that your quizzes, your papers, your media blogs, and your discussion boards are due. And be smart and leave yourself time to complete these assignments. Again, do not procrastinate. You must dedicate at least 9 hours a week to class at minimum. Oftentimes in my evaluations, I have students say, oh, all professors say this, but I've never had to do this. Your course took so much time. Generally, students acknowledge the time that it took, but I'm hopeful, and I have been told in the past that the amount of time really does translate into an amount of knowledge. So be sure that you don't leave for several days. Discussions will require you to interact early and often in both the blogs and discussion boards. The class is going to move quickly, and if you fall behind, it's going to be very difficult, if not impossible, to catch up. Online classes are a tremendous amount of work and require a level of self-motivation and self-discipline that you don't necessarily always see in the traditional face-to-face courses. It's your responsibility to follow the class rules and assignment instructions and due dates, and I will do my best at reminding you of these, but as the course progresses, it will become more on your plate and your responsibility to finish these things on time. This class is not designed to be an easier version of the traditional face-to-face course. And so if you are taking this course, and I don't think anybody is, but if you are taking this course because you think it is easier than the traditional face-to-face class, you are sadly mistaken. This course is very difficult, and because of the lack of face-to-face interactions that we have, it will challenge you in ways that traditional face-to-face classes don't challenge you. There will be communication barriers, but I will do my part, and I assume that you will do your part to overcome any of those barriers that we may have. I wish you luck in the course. Thank you.